Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
It's the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Welcome back. This is the Roger Stone Show here at 77 WABC Radio. Let me urge you right now to go to the App Store on your cell phone and download the 77 WABC Radio app. That allows you to listen to all of these great shows. If you can't tune in when they actually air, they are archived there and you can enjoy them. It is the very best of both talk and entertainment, AM radio. Before we go to my guest, very interesting, the University of New Hampshire's Granite State poll came out. It shows that Joe Biden holds a 3-point lead over Donald Trump. This is a state which Biden carried 4 years ago, 3+ years ago. But more interestingly, in the question of those who do not support Biden, who they would like to see Trump choose as his running mate, former Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard was at 24, Vivek Ramaswamy at 17, Tim Scott at 13, and everyone else in single digits. That is very extraordinarily interesting news. All right, joining me now is a woman who knows about the border. There are a lot of claims made about the border in this debate. I think President Trump very effectively hammered the open border issue and the way it is destroying America. But folks, you don't know the half of it. Christie Hutcherson is the founder, president, and the spokeswoman for an organization called Women Fighting for America. She is widely recognized as a geopolitical security expert, and she is an absolute expert on what's going on our border, having spent much time and traveled over performed over 100 border operations missions and covered over 2,500 miles of our border. When I want to know anything about the problem at our southern border, this is who I call. Christie Hutcherson, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
I'm thrilled to be here. Hi, Roger. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. So, numbers, we keep hearing numbers thrown around as to how many illegals are really in the country. And people always seem to a 10 million illegals. Do you think that number is anywhere near right?
No, it's a false number, 100%. Roger, 4 years that I've personally spent with me and my team on not just the southern border. I think it's really important to understand the United States of America actually has 5 borders. We have a southern, we have a northern, east, west coast, and we have an airspace. Biden has been illegally flying in illegals from outside the United States directly into the United States for quite some time as well. And during the travels that I've had, when you interview and you talk with private business owners, ranchers who have property along the border, when you talk to sheriffs, Border Patrol agents, U.S. Marshals, I've been in Mexico talking to the federales and those individuals on that side of the border, and then in Canada and, of course, West and East Coast. And when you start really looking at all the numbers and the data, it's data-driven. Gotaways are a very interesting thing that we really need to be talking about and expanding on in depth. And what I mean by that is when they talk about gotaway numbers, what they're looking at with those numbers, Roger, are when a camera system or some type of system triggers, or by chance there happened to be a law enforcement border patrol agent or somebody, which is very rare that happens, that they spot these guys, right? So we know from my personal experience, boots on the ground, I can't get into all the operations we've done, camping out for days upon days in certain sectors. And when we catch individuals triggering these systems, typically the camera system, Roger, will pick up about 10 to 12, sometimes 15 individuals. Well, what it's not showing you is how many other people are around them that's not being picked up by those cameras. So when we've talked to and studied the numbers, studied the data, the real numbers are staggering. And America needs to understand this is serious. This is an active invasion. We have over 30 million who have entered the United States undetected, who are here illegally by the hands of the Biden administration.
You shocked me recently when you were on my net-based show, The Stone Zone, and you talked about the weapons that people are bringing into the country. It's not just the manpower. It's not the disproportionate number of single military-age men from China, from the Middle East, as well as other parts of the globe, but the weaponry they're bringing into the country. Speak to that.
Well, Roger, we know that they're smuggling all sorts of weapons into the United States. For example, it's been almost 2 years now. Me and my team were doing an operation. We were down in San Luis, which is in the Yuma sector, and I was riding along with a friend, my dear friend, who used to be the police chief in that area, and we came across a very sophisticated tunneling system. And what's unique about this, there's tunnels all over the border, on both northern border, southern border, mostly on the southern. This was a highly fortified tunnel. It was almost 4 football fields long. It had fortified walls, ceilings, ventilation system, a rail system, fiber optics, electricity. And the fortified walls and ceilings were to shield, right, from us being able to see. But the sophistication of this particular tunnel was reminiscent of how Hamas, how ISIS builds their tunnels over there. The TCOs, the trans-criminal organizations, the cartels, they really they did not have that sophistication of the complexities to build these type of tunnels until recently. And so what are they smuggling in? I promise you it's not humans and drugs and the things that most people will go to. This particular tunnel had agencies there. The federal agents, when we were there, and they were being very hush-hush, and it was completely closed off. We had scientists there looking at what was going on inside these tunnels. I believe they were looking for particles to pick up possibly either small nuclear-type devices. It could be, weapons of just all sorts, dirty bombs. Who knows what they were trying to look for. And so when you look at the open borders and how open they have been, and especially think about the northern border, Roger. The northern border is probably the most wide open border with hardly any law enforcement or border patrol agents scanning that area. Canada has been cooperating and collaborating with China, Russia, up in upstate New York and near Vermont. Me and my team were doing some stuff up there, and we can tell you Chinese and Russians have been flooding the border in that area. And by the way, these are not just anybody. These are military-style guys, mercenaries, that have been coming over that we've been detecting for over 2.5 years. I've reported on this. I've told people about this, and to deaf ears. We have a Trojan horse situation on our hands. We have 26 tons of ammonium nitrate, Roger, that is still missing. We have weapons that are being smuggled in, dirty bombs that I believe have been smuggled in. And then you couple that with the seriousness of China, Russia, and Iran working with the criminal organizations and Latin American countries. We're in a lot of trouble right now. And I really, in the next few minutes, I really want to stress how close China has become to the borders of the United States. And I haven't even touched on the opioid crisis where China is working with the cartels, not just giving the precursors, but we have intel and information that China's actually set up training and facilities in Mexico and in Colombia to help with the fentanyl, and they've pretty much taken over the operations of the production of fentanyl and xylazine and some other very deadly stuff. Fentanyl, America, can be used as a bioweapon. It can be a serious weapon used to kill millions and millions of Americans, and nobody's even talking about fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
It is incredible. You have seen firsthand the devastation of not just illegal immigration, but child and human trafficking, organ trafficking, massive amounts of lethal drugs entering the United States, as well as the incredible atrocities being committed at the border by these criminal organizations. It's very hard to imagine, but have our Border Patrol agents essentially been ordered by this administration to essentially stand down?
Yes. I believe our federal government has committed treasonous acts against the United States of America. When you look at what actual treason means, it is the very definition. When you have the White House instructing the DHS and Alejandro Mayorkas to not uphold the laws, we're not talking about creating new laws. They are literally, Roger, right now, they are not holding up the actual statutes and the federal laws that are on the books. They are told to stand down. They are told to let this continue to happen. And the Border Patrol agents, bless them, they are hardworking men and women. They really are. And people are like, well, why aren't they doing their job? Well, at the end of the day, I can stand in their shoes to say, I might do something differently. I know I would. But they have mouths to feed. They have their family. They have mortgages to pay. They have pensions. They put in their life. And they're threatened with all of that if they go against an unconstitutional order that's, I believe, been given. And so the American people need to wake up, and they need to put serious pressure. We don't have, I know President Donald J. Trump has everything sitting right now. He should win the White House, but I can tell you right now, they already have a plan B, C, and D to make sure that doesn't happen, and we need to be talking about that as well. But you know what? We need to be putting pressure on these lawmakers to actually uphold the law and the Constitution, because more American lives on a mass scale are going to be completely murdered. We're going to have infiltration. We're going to have terrorist attacks very soon, and there's going to be serious bloodshed because of the policies of this administration.
It is interesting. Presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says that he doesn't believe that Communist China poses a military threat to us. I'm not sure if what he's saying is that they have so completely infiltrated all of our institutions with money, whether it's buying some of the A-list American companies or buying up hundreds of thousands of prime ranch land and farmland, the food-producing breadbasket of America. They're doing that as well. The violence at our border and some of the stories that I have heard for you literally curl the ears. Does it take new legislation? It is interesting that Mayorkas and Joe Biden both bragged about repealing all of Trump's border policies that have caused this open border. This cannot be a mistake. They either want to change the complete makeup of the American electorate. Interesting that voter registration forms now being given out in California bear a picture of Michelle Obama. What's that about? Or these people have been somehow bribed or otherwise have an interest in the destruction of the country. And as you point out in an extraordinary paper you sent me, time is extraordinarily late. If we could wave a wand and make you president tomorrow, or just make you the director of the Border Patrol and give you your authority, what steps would you take?
Well, we could have the border closed in 24 hours. This is not complicated at all. If I were the Border Patrol, I would instruct all agencies, at the might of the federal government, to descend, including the National Guard, to go down to the border, secure the border. I would advise the president what he's already done in the past, and that is put pressure not just on Mexico, but all of the Latin American countries who are aiding and abetting these illegals to come up through from the Darien Gap all the way up. I would completely cut off 100% of all funding of every NGO who is helping, aiding, and abetting this communist terrorist takeover of our nation. They would be defunded immediately, and they would not have funds again. And China is the number one threat to the United States of America. And if Kennedy believes that, he is sadly misinformed. Let me just tell you, and I'm not a fan of Christopher Wray, but him and I agree wholeheartedly on this point. The FBI director said counterintelligence and economic espionage efforts emanating from government of China and the CCP are a grave threat to the economic well-being and values of the United States. Confronting this threat is the FBI's top counterintelligence priority. I'm going to just kind of read a couple things this is from the article that I wrote. I have been in these countries. I have seen firsthand what I'm getting ready to tell you. This is from firsthand knowledge. China has a massive footprint in Mexico, Latin America, the Caribbean, China. And I'm going to give you just a couple examples. First and foremost, they have missile silos. And I want you to think about this. Military bases and missile silos, ICBM capability, being built currently in Barbados, in Jamaica, and in Cuba. Military silos that can carry ICBMs that will hit the United States of America. China is using natural resources, telecommunications, Huawei, not just in Canada with the 5G network infrastructure and sparking national security concerns, but they've also made a deal with Cuba. Cuba is right off the coast of the United States of America. It's about, 68 miles from Florida. Bermuda, Bahamas. They've made a deal with Bahamas. Jamaica. In Peru, they just are in the process of building a $3 billion port development project. This port is capable of housing submarines, military ships. It's enhancing China's strategic reach. The port is also logistically important because it can support the PLAN, which is the People's Liberation Army Navy. They are using economic coercion. They have ties to Cuba and Venezuela. They're bringing in military equipment into Venezuela, and they've been doing this since I know for a fact of the Obama years.
Well, Christie, let me stop you there. We're going to have to take a quick break. This is a chilling truth-telling session. When we come back, perhaps Christie will tell us about the land acquisitions around many major U.S. military installations in the United States. This is incredible stuff. We'll be right back with Christie Hutcherson, who is widely recognized as an expert on border security in the United States. Don't go away.
This is the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Today's episode is sponsored by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Life comes with big money questions. Is it better to max out your 401k or put more in a brokerage account? Does buying a home make financial sense in today's market? Should you use extra cash to pay off debt or invest? NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast has the answers. Their finance journalists break down investing and budgeting strategies to help you build wealth and navigate major financial decisions. Make smarter money moves. Follow NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast wherever you listen.
It's the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Welcome back, folks. If you are just tuning in, we're here with Christie Hutcherson, who is the Chief Operations Officer for Women Fighting for America. She's also someone who has spent many, many, many dangerous hours on our border, has been involved in literally hundreds of operations on our border, to rescue people, to stand up for those who are being abused in this monstrous process. She is truly a frontline fighter for freedom, one of the only Americans, actually, who's traveled the whole 2,000 miles of our southern border and hundreds of miles of our forgotten northern border in her efforts to help expose the problem of illegal immigration. She knows firsthand the ugliness of the situation. She has an amazing paper up. If you're in LinkedIn, check her out, Christie Hutcherson. It's Hutcherson, which is a much larger geopolitical examination of this existential threat. But now I'm going to let her talk. You were telling us about the Chinese presence in our hemisphere. Obviously, many young Chinese and others coming through Panama, through the Darien Gap. Tell us about that.
So, yeah, we have, unfortunately, a lot of military-age men, militia groups, both from Russia, China. Right now, the numbers are staggering, over 200,000 PLA Chinese military men who have come over the border. To answer your question about the strategic property buyout near our strategic military bases, Grand Forks, North Dakota, the Fufang Group, it's a Chinese company. They purchased 370 acres of land near Grand Forks Air Force Base. This base is a significant intelligence hub, and it houses the 319th Reconnaissance Wing and key military communications infrastructure. Laughlin Air Force Base in Texas, the Guangzhou Energy Company, he's a Chinese billionaire, ties to the Communist Party. He tried to purchase 140,000 acres. They've purchased Smithfield Foods. And if Americans don't understand that the Chinese Communist Party owns Smithfield Foods, which is the number one and the largest producer of pork products, period, that raises serious concerns from a supply chain issue as well. Roger, one of the most important things I think that I am very, very concerned with, I can talk to you about the Jamaica Highway and the ports that they're doing. Again, the ports in Jamaica can strategically house military ships and submarines, not both by China, but the alliance that China is now making with Russia and North Korea. This is very strategic, and this is very important for Americans to understand that we are literally being surrounded. They've through their Belt and Road Initiative, Belize, El Salvador are also part of this, Mexico. But one thing that really stands out to me probably the most is in Argentina. There is a deep space station operated by the Chinese military. The Argentinians have very limited access and functions within this highly restricted zone. This poses, I believe, one of the greatest threats. This station is operated by China Satellite Launch and Tracking Control General, CLTC. It is a division of the People's Liberation Army, and it is a strategic support force. This organization, Roger, is involved in space, cyber, and electronic warfare. This has, and I believe is being operated as a military application, not what they're posing that it is. They're not allowing transparency by anybody. The Argentinians only have access to 10% of this station's even antenna at any given time. I want to know, Roger, why? Why aren't we discussing this? Why are we not having open dialogue from the military, from this White House, about China's serious imminent threat and encroachment into our borders at our back door, not only inside the United States from a military operation, but right on our back door? And I'm going to tell you why. That was a rhetorical question. Because we know that the people who are running the show at the highest levels are puppets to China. And until we understand and literally call China who they are, an enemy of the United States, we need to defund anything to do with China. We need to make America exceptional again. And what I mean by that is all manufacturing of any product that China right now is involved in, including our serious, delicate pharmaceuticals that we need for life-saving events for American citizens. We need to pull all of that back, and we need to start manufacturing. We need to have a great manufacturing startup here in the United States like we've never seen before. Think about World War I and World War II, what we did when we fired up factories. We need to do that. Let's divert money from Ukraine war and all of these other, I believe, distractionary fires, so we're not really truly seeing the threat that's really imminent, and that is China and Russia and Iran and North Korea's alliance. That's what we need to do.
Colonel John Mills has been on this show recently, pointing out that the Chinese are running a sophisticated spy operation based in Cuba. But to answer your question, I think we know the answer, because members of the Biden family, including Hunter, have taken $7.8 million from China. Hunter Biden got an extremely valuable shares in a Chinese energy company. He's not divested himself of that, as we were told. He merely shifted control of it to one of his personal attorneys, the same one who's paid down his taxes. The answer is that this administration is compromised, and that money has flowed to not only members of the First Family, but also to Joe Biden himself. Yes, that is an act of treason. This is based not on anything other than all of the bank records that were subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee. That is the real problem. All right, unfortunately, we are out of time. Let me thank our guest, Christie Hutcherson. Christie, if people want to go to your website and learn more about your courageous work to expose dangers to America, where should they go?
Please, if you want to support the work that we're doing, we 100% of our money goes to our operations. None of us take salaries. We're in this to save this country and expose those. WFFA, that's whiskey, Foxtrot Alpha, WFFA.WIN, because we are going to win this war. Make no mistake, this is a military operation at the highest level to bring down the United States of America. We are being surrounded. And the other thing, Roger, really quick, we're doing training. Meet4America.org. That's MEET, the number 4, America.org. Go to that website. We're going to be in York, Pennsylvania, before the election at the end of August. It is the most important weekend, I believe, that you can spend. So Meet for America, WFA.win. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for having me on the Stone Zone, and I am so appreciative. Prepare, America, because we have a government who does not care about you. They are coming for you.
God bless you, Christie Hutcherson. Thank you for joining us on the Roger Stone Show. And folks, we'll be right back.